If you're looking for a sweet, fun treat to make this Halloween, I just might have the thing for you. But this is not for the faint-hearted. There is plenty of sugar in this one. I'm Lauren from visualmerriment.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made a haunted Halloween chocolate house. Now this particular project has been sitting in my to-do list for about 2 to 3 years. My mum actually cut a magazine clipping out and thought I might like to give it a go. So here we finally are, let's get into it. These are the chocolate and candy or lolly treats that I used for the project. I will leave information on the exact quantities below. You may notice that I'm from Australia, so some of these treats might not be available to you. The main component that I used were Cadbury blocks of chocolate. You could also use Hershey's bars of chocolate or really whatever is available to you. Start by cutting a block of the chocolate in half. Once you have your 2 squares, you then need to cut each one into a triangle. So you are left with 2 triangles. Make sure that you keep the offcuts for later as well. Take 3 more blocks of chocolate and cut each of them in half. So you will now have 6 squares of chocolate plus 2 triangles of chocolate. To assemble our house, we're going to need to melt those scrap pieces of chocolate that we saved. So chop them all up and put them in a microwave safe bowl. The amount of time that it takes for your chocolate to melt will depend on your microwave. So make sure that you melt it slowly at perhaps half the power in about 20 to 30 second intervals. We're going to start constructing our haunted house and graveyard, so you will need to find a base plate of some sort. I've used a timber board here. It comes in very handy for platters and the like. Here I'm simply using a knife to smooth chocolate on 2 opposite sides of a square of chocolate. Then I place it down on the board and connect it with 2 other squares. Then do the same for the last remaining square and place melted chocolate on opposite ends so that you can connect all 4 squares, making a cute little cube. The next step is to put some lollies and gummies inside our cube. We now need to seal our lolly house with a roof. For this step, you should still have 2 squares of chocolate and the 2 triangles remaining. With 1 square of chocolate, use the knife to place melted chocolate on opposite ends, then connect the triangles. Then we take the second square, forming the roof. To finish it off, place some melted chocolate on top of the roof as well. Now to connect the roof to the base of the house, simply smear chocolate on all 4 edges of the top of the cube and place the roof on there. I found that I had to gently push and hold pieces in place until the chocolate started to set so that it would hold. I used 2 flakes for this project. For this next part, we're going to line the roof and place the chimney on top. So cut a length of flake for the rooftop, but leave a space for the chimney. Place some melted chocolate on top of the roof so that you can stick the flake down long ways, and then place your chimney upright as well. Now for the doors and the windows, I used sour straps and I just cut the door into a rectangular shape and 2 squares for the windows. Then I used chocolate to attach them to the house. Make sure that you put enough chocolate on the straps, because as you'll see further in the video, I actually didn't do that on the door, but it was an easy fix and I just managed to put a little extra on there. To make a little door handle, I chopped a little bit of a sour gummy worm and then attached it using the melted chocolate to the door. The Freddo frogs are going to be used as little monsters coming out of the ground. The amount of Freddos that you use will depend on the size of your base plate. I bought a pack of the 12 fun size Freddo frogs, which were plenty. What I'm doing here is cutting them in half, and then I'm using the melted chocolate to stick them to the board. To make our cobwebs, we'll need to melt some marshmallows in the microwave. I followed the similar process as I did for the melted chocolate and just did it gradually. I actually used about 12 to 15 marshmallows, but to be honest, 6 to 8 would have been plenty for my particular project. It could be different for you though, so just keep that in mind. Which brings us to the fun, sticky, messy part. Once the marshmallow has cooled just enough, use your fingers to pull apart strands to look like cobwebs and then place them over the top of your house. I also did this for our little Freddo characters in the graveyard, but to be honest, if I were doing it again, I don't think I would do this part, simply because when I look at it, I don't know, maybe it's just me in my mind, but let's just say it looks a little bit shady. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, then you have a far more innocent mind than I do, and that is a beautiful thing. Now we get to construct our beautiful little spider on the roof. I used a pink marshmallow for this, just as a point of difference given the cobwebs were already white. So using the melted marshmallow, attach a little bit to the back of the marshmallow, and that's going to be our spider's body. For his head, I used a jube, but I bought a whole pack of jubes for this and only needed one. So I would recommend using perhaps a lifesaver, I think it's pastels, and using that for the head. Basically, we're just going through and using the marshmallow to attach the lollies for our spider. So for his legs, I used the sour gummy worms. So now that we've basically finished our chocolate house, we're just going to go around and decorate the rest of the board. So I'm just using the melted chocolate to stick the Sour Patch Kid lollies to the board, and they can be extra little monsters. I also found these googly looking Halloween eyes, so I decided to stick those down to the board and decorate the house with a couple of eyes as well, just for some added cute creepiness. However, with those ones, I decided to use marshmallow just because I'd already used marshmallow on the house anyway. You can also decorate the board with some crushed up flake. You can do it at the end, or I kind of did it as I went to get an idea of placement, and then I just placed a whole bunch of sour gummy worms on the board as well. That's it for the Haunted Halloween Chocolate House. Hopefully you've got some inspiration. Perhaps not all of these lollies and chocolates are available in your area, but you might be able to find something to substitute them with. Lastly, if you're new around here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again very soon.